Welcome to our reflection on the Gospel of John, specifically chapter 1, verses 1 to 18. This profound passage, often referred to as the prologue, is a powerful meditation on the nature of Jesus Christ. John begins with a bold declaration, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This echoes the opening of Genesis, yet here, the Word is not simply a concept, but a person, divine and eternal, existing in perfect unity with God the Father. This Word, we learn, was with God, in the beginning, before the creation of the universe. He was the agent through whom all things were made. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. This emphasizes the centrality of Christ in the divine plan of creation. The passage continues, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men." This highlights the life-giving nature of Christ. He is the source of all true life, the light that dispels the darkness of sin and despair. Through him, we have access to eternal life, a life that transcends the limitations of this world. The Word, we are told, became flesh and dwelt among us. This is the incarnation, the profound mystery of God becoming human. Jesus, the eternal Word, took on human flesh, sharing our joys and sorrows, our triumphs and our struggles. He came to live among us, to reveal the true nature of God, and to show us the path to salvation. John emphasizes that we have beheld his glory, the glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Through Jesus, we encounter the fullness of God's love and the truth that sets us free. This passage invites us to contemplate the profound mystery of the Incarnation and to reflect on the significance of Jesus Christ in our own lives. How do we experience the light of Christ in our daily lives? How do we share that light with others? Thank you for joining us today. For more reflections on the Gospel, please subscribe to our channel, Daily Dose of Divine, and you can also follow us in Facebook and Instagram. God bless.
From the Gospel according to John, John 1 verses 1 to 18. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and without him nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. A man named John was sent from God. He came for testimony, to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came to be through him, but the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, but his own people did not accept him. But to those who did accept him, he gave power to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not by natural generation, nor by human choice, nor by a man's decision, but of God. And the Word became flesh, and made his dwelling among us, and we saw his glory, the glory as of the Father's only begotten Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, saying, "This was he of whom I said, the one who is coming after me ranks ahead of me, because he existed before me." From his fullness we have all received, grace in place of grace, because while the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only begotten Son, God, who is at the Father's side, has revealed him.
Okay, so today we're going deep on this one.
Yeah.
This is a big
Go
one.
up.
Yeah, this is one that people have been requesting for a long time. So we're going to jump right in
Okay.
to the Gospel of John,
Right.
and specifically the very beginning verses of John.
Is that a prologue?
Yeah, the prologue.
The first 18 verses.
So and we're not going to go through every single verse
No.
line by line, but hit the highlights and really try and unpack
The big ideas.
the
Yeah.
big themes that are going on in these verses.
Yeah.
And I think, even for people who are not coming at this from
A faith background.
a faith background or who are not super familiar with the Bible,
Right.
I think that there's so much that's just fascinating in these verses,
Absolutely.
just from a literary standpoint or philosophical standpoint.
Totally.
So let's just jump right in. So John starts out and like the very first verse.
Oh, this is a famous one.
Yeah, it's like in the beginning was the Word,
Right.
and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about this is like right away, John is using this term, this Greek word logos,
Okay.
which is incredibly loaded with
Yeah.
meaning, especially for the people reading this for the first time.
Yeah, so let's just unpack that a little
Yep.
bit. So for people who maybe aren't familiar with like
Greek philosophy.
Mm-hmm. what is the logos and why is it such a big deal?
Well, the logos is, you could spend like a whole semester in a graduate seminar just talking about logos.
Right.
But to kind of oversimplify it, logos was a concept in ancient Greek philosophy that referred to kind of like the principle of reason.
Okay.
The underlying order of the cosmos.
Okay.
It was you could almost say it was almost like this divine principle that governed everything.
Okay.
And so when John uses this term logos to refer to Jesus,
Right.
that's a huge statement.
So essentially he's saying that Jesus is like this principle of reason.
Yeah, he's not just a prophet. He's not just a wise teacher.
Right.
He's something more than that.
Right.
And
he's the sort of the mind of God in a sense.
Right. And he's existing before creation.
Right there in the begining.
Yeah, in the beginning was the Word.
Exactly.
The Word was with God and the Word was God.
So like the Word is with God, meaning there's a distinction.
Right.
But also the Word is God.
So it's like this very paradoxical relationship where it's both distinct and unified.
Right at the same time.
Yeah, and I think
it's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think John is
He's gonna keep coming back to that.
Yeah,
throughout the whole gospel.
So then, goes on to talk about like, well, even in these opening verses, you have this the interplay of light and darkness.
Right. And so what's going on with that?
What is that all about?
So you have this idea that like
the light shines in the darkness.
Light shines in the darkness.
And darkness has not overcome it.
And so like how should we understand that?
Well, I think on one level it's a very simple idea of good versus evil.
Right.
Light representing good, darkness representing evil.
But I think it's also more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like how is it more than that?
Well, I think it's also about truth and falsehood.
Okay.
It's about knowledge and ignorance.
Right.
So Jesus being the light of the world.
Right.
He brings truth, he brings revelation.
Okay.
And the darkness is what tries to obscure that.
Right.
To hide it.
And is it
to keep people in darkness.
And is it significant that like the darkness hasn't overcome it?
Oh, yeah.
Like that it's this active...
It's this ongoing struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not like the light just like shines and then everything's good?
Yeah, it's not a one and done.
Right.
No, it's a constant battle.
Yeah.
And the darkness is always trying to
put out the light.
To extinguish the light.
Okay, so then he gets into talking about John the Baptist.
Yeah, so we gotta clarify here, right? We got two Johns.
Right. There are two Johns.
This is John the Baptist, not the author of the gospel.
Not the gospel writer.
Right.
So who is John the Baptist and what's his role in all of this?
Well, John the Baptist is he's kind of like the forerunner.
Okay.
The one who prepares the way for Jesus.
So he's kind of like
It's like the warm-up act?
The warm-up act.
Okay. He's getting people ready for the main event, which is Jesus.
And he's very clear about that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like he's very humble.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not even worthy to untie his sandals.
Yeah. He who comes after me ranks before me because he was before me.
Exactly.
So he's really like putting Jesus on a
pedestal.
Yeah, on a whole other level.
Yeah.
And then we get to this phrase that I think is so powerful.
No.
Full of grace and truth.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth.
Yeah.
That's beautiful poetry.
It is beautiful poetry.
It's also...
What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Like, what is grace and truth?
Well, grace, we could think of it as God's unconditional love.
Okay.
His mercy.
Yeah.
His his willingness to forgive
Okay.
and to accept us
Okay.
just as we are. And in truth, we can think of as God's revelation,
Okay.
his will, his purpose,
Okay.
his plan for the world.
So Jesus is,
So Jesus is the embodiment of both of those.
yeah, so he's like the perfect balance
Yeah, he's the perfect union
of grace and truth.
of grace and truth.
And I think that's something that's really,
Well, and that's what makes him so compelling as
Yeah.
a figure.
Yeah.
Because he's not just a stern lawgiver.
Right.
He's not just
he's not all fire and brimstone.
No, he's not all fire and brimstone.
Right.
But he's also not just like a
pushover.
pushover.
Yeah.
He's both.
Yeah.
He's full of love and compassion.
Yeah.
But he's also full of truth.
Truth.
Okay.
So I mean, just to kind of zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what's so unique about John's gospel
Yeah.
compared to
The other gospel.
the other gospel?
Yeah, because there are 4 gospels in the Bible.
Right.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So,
Right.
so what's different about John?
Well, John is definitely the most theological
Okay.
of the 4 gospels.
Okay.
He's really interested in these big ideas,
Like we've been talking about.
like we've been talking about.
The logos, grace and truth, light and darkness.
Right.
And he's also very interested in presenting Jesus as
divine.
divine,
Yeah.
as the Son of God.
So he's really hitting on.
He's going for it.
Yeah, he's really hitting on like all the
major themes
major themes
of Christian theology.
right up front.
Right in the first 18 verses. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that makes John so unique and so compelling.
So just to kind of wrap things up,
Right.
I think, we've only just scratched the surface here,
Yeah.
but hopefully this has given people like a little taste.
A little appetizer.
Yeah, a little appetizer of like the
Yeah.
depth and the richness of these verses.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things that I find so fascinating about this is the power of language.
Yeah.
Right? Like John is using these words.
He's a poet.
Yeah, these very loaded words
Uh-huh.
to paint a picture
To paint a picture.
of who Jesus is.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can all appreciate,
Absolutely.
even if we're not coming at this from a religious perspective.
Yeah.
Like the power of language to shape our understanding of the world.
To communicate these big ideas.
To communicate these big ideas.
that are really hard to grasp.
Right.
And I think that's something that we can all
relate to. So I guess the question I would leave people with is like,
Yeah.
how did these words,
How do these images,
how do these ideas
ideas
shape your understanding?
shape your understanding of who Jesus is?
Yeah, and maybe even more broadly, your understanding of
Of the world.
the world and your place in it.
So yeah, so that's something
Something that you want.
to chew on. All right, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.